We're talking now about defining what is typical teen behavior versus the behaviors that parents should be concerned about. To dive a little bit deeper into this sponsored conversation is licensed clinical social worker from U of U Health, Jessica Holzbauer. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. We already start talking in the break, everybody, because you know I have a teenager. And there are tough times that you wonder, is this okay? Should I be more concerned than I am?
It's tough, right? Because we know that typically adolescents are more moody, they want more freedom, they want less parent oversight, and they're more self-conscious as well. I mean, it is a perfect storm.
And sometimes it's out of nowhere, and you have no idea the cause.
Oh, well, and that's part of the moodiness, right? It's like you don't know where it came from, you don't know how long it's going to last.
Okay, let's help me and all the parents out there with typical teen behavior, adolescent behavior, and then behavior that maybe you should be a little bit more concerned about.
Sure.
Okay, first, typical moodiness.
Right. So we know that adolescents are going to be more self-conscious. Their feelings are going to be more easily hurt. They're going to have less motivation. They're going to be more irritable. We know that's the case. Sorry to tell you.
At the drop of a hat.
Right, at the drop
Nothing
of a
even
hat.
happens and the moodiness kicks in.
And that's normal.
Okay.
And that's normal.
So what is not normal?
So what's not normal is when that moodiness lasts. It persists for weeks, not days, but weeks, as well as feelings of suicide or self-harm or social isolation. Those would be big red flags that we would want parents to be attentive to.
Okay, let's talk about another typical behavior, increased self-consciousness.
So we know that adolescents are primed to want social acceptance, social support, social validation. So what that means is that for a lot of adolescents, they'll spend more time on their appearance, on their hair, on their makeup, whatever it may be. However, when that gets to a level where kids are avoiding going to school, avoiding being with their friends, maybe spending tons of time getting ready to the detriment of their homework or other things, that's cause for concern.
Perfectionism, social withdrawal, obsessive behavior.
Yes.
So watch out for those.
Exactly. And you don't have to have the answers as parents. You just have to be willing to ask and listen. You do not have to have the answers.
But ask the questions. Say the words.
Absolutely. That can open up the conversation. And most kids don't want their parents to solve their problems. They want to be understood.
I've said before, what I've noticed about you is that a good way to start a conversation?
Absolutely. Or
yes.
Hey, I've noticed. Or hey, I'm wondering, I'm curious.
I'm wondering. Okay.
Yes,
I like that.
absolutely.
All right. Let's talk about more typical behavior, increased argumentativeness.
So we know that adolescents, part of the developmental milestone is for them to learn to have a voice, to push limits, to figure out what their boundaries are. I'm sorry, but parents, that is the case. However, when that crosses a line and kids are defiant or they're getting in trouble with school or they're disregarding social norms, that's cause for concern.
That's cause for concern.
Yes.
Okay, what about those transitions? Let's go to this one, junior high to high school. That's typical. Stress about that is normal?
Absolutely. With kids maybe not wanting to go to school or maybe wanting to avoid a certain class, totally normal. However, when that becomes a reality and kids stop going to school, stop turning in homework, maybe stop texting with friends, that is cause for concern.
And again, that's a moment that you bring up. What is happening? What I've noticed is.
Hey, last year, you had pep in your step. You were ready to get to school. This year is a different story. Tell me what's going on. What's it like this year at school?
Okay, here's another typical behavior, increased desire for privacy.
Yeah. Yes, because adolescents are becoming their own version of themselves. And they do not want their parents knowing all the versions of themselves they are maybe trying on. That's normal. And that's really hard for parents. However, when kids are keeping secrets, when they're lying, when they're not coming down for dinner, when they're not talking in the car to you anymore, that's cause for concern.
I heard this week that so-and-so understands me and you don't. And as a parent, you go, it's tough.
You know what? And I think a response is, I'm so glad that you have someone who understands you well. That makes my heart happy.
Right.
I'm so glad you have that.
Someone that listens is amazing.
I'm so glad that you have that.
When parents should intervene, when you say not just talking may not even be enough here.
So I think first and foremost, when it's a safety issue, if you think that your son or daughter is at risk for self-harm or suicide, all bets are off. It's time to intervene. Or if you see the same patterns that have been going on for weeks and not days, it's time to consult with a professional.
And sometimes it's just nice to not feel alone. in all of it?
Well, and when parents start to talk to one another about their shared struggles, there's a camaraderie that develops where you can get great ideas from other parents as well.
I agree,
Yeah.
and great ideas from U of U Health, everybody. uofuhealth.org is the place to go for more information. It's on your screen and also on our website now, and our thanks to U of U Health for this sponsored interview. I feel like this was meant to be today. I appreciate you being here.
Happy to be here.